detailing business tips. One of the more common questions that I am asked as a business owner is, Darren, can I work out of my personal car? So with that question, let me dedicate this video to Henry Hernandez of M1 Auto Detailing. I think Henry is in the LA area, I should say LA County, which is massive compared to the LA city itself. So this goes to you because he specifically reached out and asked this question. Well, the simple answer is you can work out of anything that you like, literally. But that's not really the problem, because that's an obvious. Of course you can work out of anything you want. And to give you a very specific example, one guy I trained in LA, and LA is a highly congested area and they have public transportation. What this guy did is he wanted to create an additional revenue stream for himself, essentially a side hustle in the name of auto detailing. But he didn't have a huge budget to work with, he didn't have a big clientele, he was just starting out, a beginner. So I told him, instead of approaching it in this broad scope of traditional auto detailing where you need the resources and capital to get a van or a truck and all the equipment, go down the list, why don't you decide to specialize in paint correction and coatings? In today's world of modern day chemistry and modern day engineering with tools, specifically the new long throw DA orbital buffers, polishers, call them what you want. You've got chemistry engineering with the new coatings. Some are super easy to apply. It does not take a long learning curve in order to become proficient at the process. So I suggested to him that he keeps things ultra simple. So back to the original question, can you work out of a car? We already know you can. And that lends itself to the greater question, perhaps, is communication. What are you communicating to your customer by you showing up in your personal ride, i.e. a van, a truck, or a car? And in this specific situation, this guy that I was training in LA, what I told him is you can keep it super simple. So I told him to focus on something that is not only in high demand, paint correction, and now coatings are becoming on everyone's radar, becoming very popular. And if you know how to do it properly and you know how to communicate to the customer properly, there's a lot of profit margin in that. And you can keep your life ultra simple. So let me show you something. You see this DeWalt toolbox? In this I have my buffer, and this actually separates into two sections. Up here I can keep my polishes and my pads. Down here I can keep 1, 2, even 3 buffers based on the size of the buffers themselves. So how about this? You don't even need a car or truck or a van. So with that toolbox, I don't think it can get any more simpler than a toolbox. And you could literally walk to, take an Uber or a Lyft to, or public transportation to your job, the customer's house, their business, whatever. And you could literally show up with your complete paint correction system, tools, products, polishes, pads in a toolbox. All you need is their power. Virtually every business, every home is going to have power. Okay, I get it. Let's say at worst case scenario, you need to bring an extension cord with you. That's not going to take up much more room. You could literally bring an extension cord separately with your toolbox. So in each hand, they're occupied. Toolbox, extension cord, you're good to go. But I think the even greater question or concern for guys is the appearance of that. And I've had many guys reach out and ask similar questions about a similar theme, which is, hey Darren, I have to work out of the trunk of my car. In fact, there's another guy I was mentoring up in Seattle. Cody, if you're watching, this goes out to you. And he literally worked out of his car. His entire trunk was filled with detailing supplies, chemicals, whatever. He used the back seat. And he had a concern, like, hey, I'm not going to look as professional as the other guys. Well, this largely is dependent upon you, your self-confidence, and how you present yourself. And I will relate this to the subject of guys that ask me many, many times, is it okay to use the customer's water and electricity? Well, the simple answer is yes, of course. And a little game that I play with my family, because I'm a big observer of the world and life and what have you. I'm constantly observing. I know for a fact that literally in any situation, if you just dress the part and act the part, you could literally get away with anything. You could go into a hospital and put on a smock and strap a stethoscope around your neck. You wouldn't even need a name tag, and you could just walk around and act like a doctor. And most people would suddenly just open doors for you, let you through areas that would be normally restricted to the public. So if you just dress the part and act the part, you can get away with virtually anything in life. And I have observed this many, many times in my own life. So to bring this back around, that's the point. And to try to answer the greater concern or insecurity is that it's dependent on you. If you just act like, hey, this is business as usual, very few customers are going to question you because you're just walking around and doing business as usual, which is, for example, the case of water and electricity. You just show up, hey, Mr. Customer, could you show me where your spigot is in the event that you can't already see it, where I can hook up to your water? I got an extension cord I need to run out your garage. Which is the best outlet that you would like me to run that out? So I just go into it as though it's just normal. There's just no question about it. And if I even have to ask is one thing, but probably I'd say 40% of the time, customers, when they come out and we're initially meeting there in person for me to now work on their car, they're already going to offer it up to me. They're going to say, hey, I've got water over there where you can put your hose into, and I've got electricity out in the garage you can plug into, or maybe I have an outlet on the outside of the house that you can plug into. And it's amazing, and it's just a non-issue. And I'm trying to think if I've ever been questioned by a customer that would say, wow, that's a little unprofessional. How come you don't have your own pressure washer, water tank, generator, all that stuff? Somehow I know it has come up because I have dealt with the electricity issue before. And it was probably a byproduct of more showing up to a location where I had to work that was so far removed from the actual office space or the warehouse space that it was unrealistic to use an extension cord. And so they asked about that, and I said, well, you know what? Honestly, I have a generator that I can bring with me. I just choose not to carry it around because I personally don't like the noise, and out of respect for your neighbors, and whether it's in a business park or especially residential, I'm pretty certain your neighbors do not want to hear a very noisy power washer, pressure washer, generator, all that stuff. It's going to be noisy enough with the vacuum. So I actually spin it around so it's a positive. And what I mean by that specifically is that the customer, perhaps, even if they are, which most of them won't, is looking at me as like, hey, how come you don't have all this stuff? I actually spin it and say, hey, you know what? I actually operate that way. It's not the only reason I do it, but I do it, one of the reasons, out of respect for your neighbors and even yourself. Do you really want to hear me out in your driveway with a noisy compressor, generator, pressure washer going when you don't have to? Well, the simple answer is no, they don't. So suddenly they have a new perspective on the moment and they look at it entirely different. So you could go and run with that. So back to the equation of working out of your personal car, truck, or van. So when you're starting out, I get it. It feels awkward. I've been there. I've worked out of some POS, which stands for piece of fill in the blank, when I was up and coming because I did not have the capital to go out and buy this glorified van or truck, fill in the blank. So you just improvise. You do what you gotta do to make it until you make it. What's the saying? You fake it till you make it. Well, it doesn't have to be about faking it, but you're just trying to make it. So literally anything goes. And this, once again, goes down to your ability to present yourself with confidence and professionalism. And as a person that has grown up with a severe lack of self-confidence, I can relate. Trust me, despite appearances, I can completely relate and empathize. You just have to literally go into actor mode. You become an actor. So regardless of the internal dialogue, the internal insecurities that may be streaming through your mind, you choose a different response or a different message that you're going to deliver to the world, which is, hey, despite all the fears swarming in my head, I'm just going to act like business as usual. This is just the way it's done. So you can take virtually any concern of yours and you can figure a way to spin it so that suddenly it becomes something of value to the customer. You just have to use your creative thinking. So for example, this one, which is car, truck, or van. You don't have the budget, or maybe it's a side hustle, you're trying to get started, you don't necessarily want to pull the trigger on buying something dedicated, so you use your personal ride to detail out of. That's how I started. I literally started out of the back of a Datsun, which most of you don't probably even recognize the term Datsun. Datsun was Datsun before it was Nissan, if that even made sense. So Nissan back in the day was called Datsun. They changed their name. Point is you're familiar with the Nissan 350Z. Well, the old school versions back in the 70s, like a 1976 Datsun 280Z, is what I literally worked out of when I did one of my very first details. So go figure. Look it up online, see what that looks like, see how inconvenient that was. But I did it because there was enough incentive for me to do it. But you know what? Ultimately, if you can deliver the results and you have the ability to build rapport and trust with your customer, honestly, they don't care. They really don't care. And if you're getting any pushback from your competitors out there who make disparaging remarks to you, which honestly has never happened to me. So, and everyone lives a different world, I get it. But you know what? Just ignore it. You know, I get it, it's gonna mess with your head, but just ignore it. And how about this? How about if I just give you permission? You can do whatever you want. You have my permission to go out and work out of anything you want. You just have to understand that there's certain rules in place, which is presentation is king. You may be limited on your ability to make a true professional presentation, so you do the best you can. Now there's ways to overcompensate for that, as I have addressed, by how you carry yourself and how you present yourself and how you communicate to your customer. So if you can really develop your communication skills, there is a lot of hurdles that you can overcome just by that skill set alone. You may not have the money to buy, custom-made uniforms like I have. You may not have the money to buy a custom van or to actually buy a van and then customize it to fit the needs of a detailing operation. But with your presentation, your confidence, whether you really have it or not, your ability to display the appearance of confidence, you can overcome so many of those normal hurdles. So hopefully I've answered a question for you. Hopefully I've answered more than one question, and I've dissected this kind of area of detailing that really screws with a lot of guys' heads. And I get it. I've been there. I started at the very bottom. And 30 plus years later, I'm still learning. I'm still developing. You name it. So Henry, good luck with that. For the rest of you, what I'd like to hear from you guys, if you could, and this isn't just to help me out. It does help me out because then I can take these questions and I can actually create videos on them. But this video will remain on my channel probably indefinitely. So it doesn't matter when you're watching this video, because every time you make a comment, someone new, as in a lot of people come in and they get to read those comments and they get to hear your feedback. What have you gone through? What were the answers that you came up with? What kind of pushback did you get from, let's say, a customer themselves or from other fellow detailers? So when you leave those comments, you're not just helping me, but you're helping every other guy that comes back into this video and gets to read those comments. So please leave a comment. Let us know what your personal experience has been. There's always going to be links in the show more section under each video. And by the way, if you actually like the video, mouse over the thumbs up and click on it. If you don't like it, hover on the thumbs down and click on that too. Or even better yet, subscribe to the channel. There's always that. So, till next time we have an episode of Detailing Business Tips, go out and kill it.